Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to today's installment of the ArchCast, where we have some interesting little topics. Beginning with, I really love this one here. I'm going to show you this article, Kyle. Because I agree, in theory, like this is the right answer to the wrong question. It is time for Marvel and DC to embrace change, retire their legacy characters. What do you think about that?
Wow. I doubt it. I doubt they're gonna do it. Retire their legacy characters. See, a part of me goes like, well, it's good to write new characters and be creative there. Here's what the problem with today's age. I don't trust them to. And honestly, they've already character assassinated the characters they do have to the point where they're absolutely useless now. So it's time for them, they have to be creative and make characters that are just bad. Without ruining new characters or pre-existing characters.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because I'll say immediately, this article is not as wise as you might think, because the entire point of this article is not to make new characters, it is to make new gay characters, new diverse characters. If you scroll down just a little bit to the first cover there, you'll see Superman, son of Kal-El, with the racial pride flag up in the corner, of course.
Don't worry about it.
And in case you're unaware, the current run of Superman is not actually Superman, it is son of Kal-El. So it's Superman's son who kind of just appeared. I mean, there's a lot of Supermen at this point. Superboy, Superman. I think there was a Super Dog at one point, because why not? But this is the biological son of Clark Kent and Lois Lane, which raises some in-universe questions as to how this could physically occur, but minor insignificant details. And he is, of course, gay, which has caused a lot of interesting ripples. On the one hand, the guy who does the color art for Son of Kal-El has actually up and quit because he refuses to be a part of ruining these characters any further. Yet at the same time, all of the major outlets have been covering this like crazy, which is what led to this article right here.
Yeah, no, it's...
What's your relationship with Superman, Kyle?
Well, to be honest, the thing is, I'm already predisposed to a different bias. I find superheroes to be actually disinteresting, and I've never found them interesting. I was always more interested in military things, and like army movies and stuff like that. So while people were like watching Superman, I was watching 1940s like war propaganda from the United States perspective. Like Sahara and the like.
What about the more semi-realistically inspired stuff then, like G.I. Joe or Mask?
Oh god, G.I. Joe is garbage. It's basically just superheroes, but reskinned. I don't know what Mask is.
Not far away from it. Oh, you don't Mask? Oh man, shame.
But
let me see if I can... Mask was really cool. It was... It was basically a toy line, let's be fair, as many 1980s settings were. But they were about this kind of paramilitary organization where they used the special masks, ergo the name, to fight the evil other group of people who also had masks.
The Mask
And it was very stupid. And yet it was also really cool.
Listen, if they had a cool toy lineup, in my imagination, they can be whatever the fuck I want them to be.
That's true. That's true. But of course, the point the article makes here is that everyone covered it. Washington Post, NRP, New York Times, all of the things that normally wouldn't give a shit about comics. And what I find so fascinating about this article is that it basically launches from the perspective we had like 12 years ago, when people like us were wondering, like, why aren't gaming more widely accepted? You know, why isn't it socially acceptable? Why isn't comics put up on the same kind of platforms as novels or books, etc.? And I find that really fascinating that they've finally arrived at this point, but the reason isn't that they're good. The reason is that they have gay characters now.
Yeah. It is remarkably sad, because the thing is, it's not that it's socially acceptable, it's that it's become a political tool. And that's honestly the arm of gaming and the stuff that personally I care about that I don't like. Because now that it has quote unquote become mainstream, it has become popular. Now everyone's trying to hijack these platforms and use them to push political narratives on younger folk and stuff like that, because that is the purpose of that. You know, they're not interested in gaming. It's like that Ubisoft post that, if you looked at it, I saw on Twitter the other day, where for hiring, it's like, not everybody at Ubisoft actually likes making or likes games. So that's why you should you think about working for us. If you don't like making games, you should still think about working here. It's like, that does make sense. Their games do feel
That's
like they're
great.
painful to play sometimes. Excluding Blue Byte's Anno series, everything else they produce generally feels painful. And, I think that's reflective of the developers. Like, it's painful because the developers were in pain making it.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Like, Dragon Age Inquisition certainly feels like a video game that was made by somebody who really didn't want to be there.
You can always tell if the game has no passion in it too, or whether it's a story or a comic, because it doesn't feel like they want to tell a story. Or they want to do the thing to get the money and leave, and you can feel it in a game. You can really feel it when there's no passion.
Like, it's being just drudgingly dragged out of them. See,
Yeah.
Anthem. Anthem was an excellent example of that. A game designed by somebody who don't quite understand what a game is, because the idea of Anthem was really goddamn cool. You're all Iron Man, and you run around shooting shit. Okay, that's an awesome concept. And then somebody decided, yeah, but we're gonna put a limit on your Iron Man suit.
Let's limit the powers that make you cool. Because the thing about Anthem, right, is when we played the test, it had potential, because when you had your little powers, it's like, yeah, you feel like you're like in an Iron Man suit or a power armor suit. It's actually pretty satisfying. But the problem is the game actively tries to punish you for using powers and stuff like that, to the point where it's like, okay, so like the game is actively trying to make you so you can't have fun with that, which is really lame and honestly a terrible design, when they should be focusing on those powers, and that should be the primary thing. Then the game also is coupled by the fact that they literally had no idea where to go with it.
Like, it is really evidence, in my opinion, that Anthem was designed by somebody who was like, what do the geeks like? Oh, I know, Iron Man. Let's make an Iron Man game. And then they had no understanding of anything beyond that. Like, spongy enemies. The powers looked cool and really impressive, and then you see they did no damage. And you're like, okay. And then you get blasted out of the sky in a quarter of a second out of cover, and you're like, okay.
Oh god,
Right.
I remember we were just hopping back and forth in that one little area. Yeah.
Yep. You don't feel like Iron Man, you feel like goddamn Frogger, just like, oh, nope, damage again. I've moved out of cover for a quarter of a second. Unfortunate.
Yeah, it's regrettable. Interesting concept nonetheless, but maybe not the best idea to have BioWare handle it, a studio that has more familiarity with RPG. Sometimes having a studio work on something fresh actually can really help the studio shine, but in the case of that game, that was a mistake. They weren't ready for that.
Familiarity. They were once familiar with RPGs. Whether they are now is another question entirely.
That's the problem with studios when the culture changes, when people shift out. They're no longer that. It's like looking at Relic, right? Relic that we see today isn't the Relic of yesteryear.
That's true. Though, on that note again, to circle us back around, what I find interesting is this idea of the culture of it, of the established characters. Because the article goes on to talk about how it is time to shelve a lot of the legacy characters. Now, in this entire article, it makes it very clear that legacy character is code for any character that has the incorrect skin shade, white, or has the incorrect sexuality. Anything that isn't not straight. But at the same time, I see the basic argument in that these characters have done everything, and the established lore for these characters is so goddamn massive and so goddamn impenetrable that it's almost impossible for anyone new to get into this, which is also why we have this endless series of restarts and reboots where they try doing something different with the characters, and it lasts for like 10 issues and then it's done. This entire Son of Kal-El thing, for example, started super recently, and I'd be very surprised if it lasts more than like 20, 30 issues tops, because they'll have an initial boost. And in fact, I looked at the sales figures for this. It started out with 80,000 issues sold on his first number, which is, that's respectable. 80,000 issues at like $5 a pop or something like that. And then it dropped to 40,000 issues on the second one, and so on.
Man, these
But
comics are doing it.
Yeah, go on.
No, I'm just like the sales. I'm sorry, the sales numbers. Like it's just that's a 50% divot. Like that's really bad. Like that can't be understated. That's bad. Because it's only gonna get worse. Like by the time they get to the 6th issue, like there's gonna be barely anybody that's still reading this crap.
There is, and then the answer is going to be to reboot the character again. And I really do get it, but here's the thing. What's going to make Superman interesting again it's not making him gay. Like, Superman having some boy's love with a pink-haired tween is not the thing that's going to make me go, oh, Superman's suddenly interesting again. In fact, I don't even know if Superman can be interesting again. He's been around for how many decades now? Superman has done everything. Superman has literally been a magician at one point in time. Like, the character, if nothing else, the character needs a long, long break. Like, put Superman completely on the shelf for like a decade, and then bring him back, not as a new reimagined character, but as the original Superman, literally all the way back to like the 60s comics, and just make him the Boy Scout he was always intended to be.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I can understand an argument. I actually had this conversation with a friend of ours named Alldog not that long ago, where it's like, yeah, you can sort of reboot an idea to sort of modernize it because it does age, and you can do that once in a while. Like, take James Bond, for instance. Now, personally, I disagree on this note about this example, because I think the Cold War is infinitely more interesting than a modern setting. But you could make a modern James Bond and set it against, the two rival powers of the time, the United States and the Western world, against the, Chinese dictatorship of China. And you could make that kind of interesting. But the thing is, a part of me wonders if at some point, should a story not just simply end so that we can make something new?
Yes. And see, that's the reason why I believe manga is absolutely trouncing comics again, because mangas end. They have a character arc. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. They do eventually stop. Now, there are a handful of examples, like One Piece has been going for God only knows how long, though even that supposedly has the end in sight. Dragon Ball is currently on its retelling, so you could kind of argue that's a reboot. But even then, Dragon Ball's been around for a very long time, and it's only had a reboot. Like, compared to Superman, who has been reimagined every other weekend, that's incredible.
Yeah, the amount of times. Like, I don't mind the idea, like, let's take an interesting story and give it an alternate ending. You know what that would be interesting? Warhammer or Star Wars? Star Wars in the case of, like, what if, the Death Star didn't blow up. There's been some actual really good Dark Horse comics actually on there. Pretty big ones about, like, what if, Leia turned to the dark side and, stuff like that. And Luke fucked up and the Death Star didn't blow up. And there's this whole alternate history of, like, now the rebellion's absolutely fucked. It's quite interesting. You can do that once in a while. But the thing is, you're right with Superman and these superhero stuff. Like, it's not like they take a break. It's not like if they make a movie, and they wait like a few years and make another movie. It's like serialized to such a point where it's almost like, the Call of Duty syndrome, which Creative Assembly even has now, where it's like they have to release a new game almost every year bi-yearly. Constant
they just
stream.
Can't let it rest.
Oversaturation. Honestly, toxic in my mind.
And chat makes a very good point. All good things must end. And yeah, they really do. They really actually do.
Look at Lord of the Rings. Now, granted, Tolkien wanted to write more, but he didn't live to sadly write more. But Like, it's still pretty good, the original trilogy. And, you don't really have to add anything new. It's still one of the best fantasy settings in existence. And has pioneered fantasy. And still remains to be a legendary, series. And it's still not getting any new book adaptations. It's just the same 3 books, plus The Hobbit and The Silmarillion. And it's been that way for decades. And the people still like it. Look at the original trilogy for Star Wars. People still enjoy going back to watch it. Even new people and new generations go back to watch it. Like,
Yep.
It's not going to go anywhere. You don't need to make a new stuff. It's still there.
Some things don't need reboots. Sometimes you just actually need new stuff. Now, is the chat acting up, Kyle? It looks like it's stopping right at the top there for some reason.
Is that some sort of little buggeroo? What happened there? Let me expand that on a different window. Oh, it might just be because they're not typing fast enough. That's actually one of the issues. Yeah, type faster for just a second, just to confirm that.
Type faster.
Because I think it fades a little bit earlier. I'll have to ask Disco if we can change the setting. Because in our chat, it stays there permanently. But in this one, for some reason, it just sort of disappears a little bit early. I'll ask Disco about it.
Time's out. That makes sense.
Yeah, see, it starts climbing higher. Faster, chat. Faster. There we go.
All right. Okay, let me do a couple of the super chats, and then we'll move on to your topic. The Real Hold State says, straight and on time for once. Good job, gentleman and degenerate creature.
Wow, rude.
Cruel and unusual.
And I'm just a regular person, and I get called a degenerate. Feelings hurt. Ouchie.
Crazy Loon says, Gloria Archus Magna. I should become a landmass.
I always knew he's a big body of land. We need to invade that land.
Outraged Dare says, if the stories are good, go for cuz. I'm kind of sick of the characters with a new coat of paint. Hell, I kind of want comics to go full Shonen Jump. You know what? That's actually a really, really good point you bring up there. Maybe comics could really benefit from the Shonen Jump treatment. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Shonen Jump is the biggest magazine in Japan, practically. And its entire thing is that it has installments of various mangas that are constantly cycling with new and different mangas and new and different characters constantly. So in one installment of Shonen Jump, you might have, and these are weekly, by the way, too. So there's huge numbers of these. You might have Kimetsu no Yaiba alongside with Mob Psycho, alongside with like a couple other mangas as well. Basically, it's this kind of variety magazine that cycles out characters and stories constantly, and therefore is also always updating its audience. Like, oh, hey, look at this new thing. Look at this. Or look at this other new thing. Here. It's kind of like a... See, I feel like calling it almost a commercial magazine, but that's cruel too, because they give you the full-on stories and everything, but they also then obviously go like, okay, this is now has a actual manga volume that you could go buy. And it's actually launched so many creators' careers. And man, I genuinely think that maybe the West could benefit from that. Now, just having a cycle of good new content creators that make their stories getting featured in this weekly magazine, and then being able to also sell their own magazines, of course, the full volumes on the side.
See, that would be nice, but the problem is that would affect DC, Marvel, and Dark Horse and all these other major outlets. Like, that would affect their, what's your word? Sphere. Their little spheres of influence, if you will. And
yes,
honestly,
they wouldn't want it because it would be a threat to them.
When independent comic creators. Speaking of independent comic creators, are you familiar with a YouTuber named Raging Golden Eagle? Raging Golden Eagle.
How did you get Gregu from that?
I think it's Raging Gregu. Raging Golden Eagle. Help! My brain.
Alright. I don't know. Chat, are you familiar with this Gregu person?
Gregu. Is it Greg Ooh or is it Grey Goo?
Gregu. Oh, that's awful, Kyle. That's awful.
My words, they don't work. But yeah, there's this YouTuber who's, sort of, he's part of the apparently Comicsgate. I had some people in my audience tell me about him because they wanted me to do like a crossover with him. But I was like very confused as to why they brought it up. But the thing is, he's got his own comic line. So there are people, and there's another person I think that's doing some sort of frog comic that I saw on Twitter, where it's like these cool, like the art's really cool. I know it sounds weird, it's frogs, but like they're like the cool looking frog warriors that have like this really cool art style. But yeah, there's apparently a ton of people from this Comicsgate thing I'm not super acquainted with, and I don't want to go too far into that because I don't know what's happened with that, that are basically starting their own comic lines. The one I brought up is, I think, a cover art concept piece of Raging Golden Eagles. So, I mean, there are indie groups that are trying to make a breakthrough, and they're using their YouTube platforms to do so. So there's always a possibility that, people will make the breakthrough. I mean, like, you're working on your own private thing, I'm working on my own IP. Like, we're all indie startups trying to, break out of this, thing. And honestly, with the power vacuum that these companies like DC and Marvel are creating by just making people so disillusioned with their IPs.
Just being shit.
Yeah, exactly. The disillusionment is so high that honestly, like, I've contacted a 3D modeler about making some minis because, why not give it a shot and see what happens, Because there is a vacuum created by things like GW and stuff like that. And people want something new. So why not try to give them something new?
See, well, one of the issues too is we are in this extraordinarily weird situation, which I don't think has ever existed before, like ever. In that, on the one hand, there is a vacuum for good quality content because there's a lot of lack of it, just straight up. Yet, at the same time, these companies also have so much power and so much reach and so much authority that just by their simple existence, they're dominating the market. Now there are ways for us to reach out now, like YouTube, being able to do this on the internet. Somebody like Raging Golden Eagle, for example, being able to launch his own comic to a pre-created audience would have been absolutely impossible 10, 20 years ago. Yet now it can be done. There was also that Kickstarter manga we talked about a couple of weeks ago, Kamen Ramen, I think it was, which were fully funded in like 10 seconds. It's weird. Like, what we actually do need is a third-party institution, like genuinely a la the type of Shonen Jump, to bring all of this together and actually create a different form of marketing, essentially. A way to say, like, hey, look at this. This is something different than the established ones, with the connections to bring it out there.
Yeah, very much so. The thing is, what you're basically proposing is nothing particularly new. In fact, we have these today. They're called publishers. You just need a publisher that isn't, what's the word? What's the diplomatic word? Cucked, perhaps? Or afraid. Like, a publisher has to take risks. And a lot of publishers, you can sign up for a publisher. I mean, even because I'm making my own indie game, I could sign up for one. I personally don't want to because I don't like the idea of owing people things, and I want to kind of do my own thing. But there are benefits for signing up with certain publishers like Sega or EA if you're really desperate for money. Oh, good luck. But yeah, no, you can do stuff like that. But yeah, basically what you're proposing is just we need a new publisher or another publisher that does something specifically like this.
Well, yes and no, like, because the word publisher implies a publishing, like a publishing house that goes like, hey, is this good enough for us? Like, do we want to buy into this, etc.? And in effect, yes, but at the same time, I have a hard time putting it into words because I haven't really thought this through. But we need a billboard, essentially. Something that can promote people regardless and bring them to the fore to advertise them. And there would have to be some form of business model to back that up, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to survive. But
I mean, that's kind of what publishers are already. The only issue is like Sega's not going to pick something up unless they're going to offer them something back in return for boosting them. Because publishers
and
also
there's the
offer
problem
support.
too, right? Because let's say Raging Golden Eagle, right? Take him for an example. He has made this comic. He's produced it. He has created the art. He's created the dialogue. He's created a physical product, I presume, and he's marketing it. He's doing the entire job of this on his own, and good on him. But realistically, unless you are the absolute blow up success, which Carmen America was, thank you, chat, you're going to have tens of thousands of little products. Whilst what we really kind of need is a larger product to compete with the established people. And we need a larger product that is willing to drag other products along with it. And there's the problem, you see, because I tried doing that with the idea of the community spotlight. The idea being like, okay, I can see where GW is heading with this. Let's try to community build. And, well, nobody was interested. So the question is that a common thing? Would that happen in the comics market? Now, I do know that Ethan Van Schreiber and the Comicsgate people have built at least some sort of a kind of alliance over there. So maybe they're already starting to do that. Because you do need kind of a society, no, that's not the right word, a group willing to collaborate to raise each other up, to have any kind of chance to stand up to the giants of the world, the Marvels, the DCs, and the Disneys.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be too hard to set up even right now. We could potentially reach out to Raging Golden Eagle and begin to form such a group and be like, hey, let's just, see what each other has to show for, and, when I have a chance, I'll, shill your stuff, and you have a chance, shill my stuff, things of that nature. It wouldn't be too hard to do something like that by simply just reaching out. It is
might
possible.
not be a bad idea.
The thing is, like, to what extent? Like, what, beyond just, like, patting each other on the back and be like, good job, little guy, like, what else would you do? Because the thing is, he's got his comic. It's not like I could really help in that way, because I'm already busy with my stuff. You're busy with your stuff. This is hypothetically speaking, by the way. But there's only so much you could do with a quote-unquote group.
Yes, but at the same time, there's only so much you can do. Yes, absolutely. But I have always liked the idea of us independents trying to band together a little bit and try and help each other out with, if nothing else, a bit of word of mouth. A little bit of a feature of various stuff.
That would be better than not working together. Honestly, it's something maybe we should reach out to and be like, hey, let's touch each other weirdly. I don't know what the word collaborate. Yeah, there you go.
Perhaps.
There you go.
Perhaps it might even be something we'll consider. We have been thinking about different lore stuff after all. Maybe it could be incorporated.
I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible thing. You could even do like a lore series on his comic, which would be a spotlight of that and would also give better recognition to this new IP.
Possibly. All right, that was quite a little divergence over to a completely different topic.
I know,
there.
It was related a little bit, and I figured I'd bring it up because I had this conversation with a subscriber, and I was like, you know what? It's interesting. It's worth discussion.
It is, because it is a good idea, and it's just one of those things. Like, yes, we should do this, but how does one do it?
That's always true, because collaborations do have fruit. Like, for instance, collaborating with Arch, my channel has grown. People realize that I do have a channel. It's a strange thing. So, collaborations do produce fruit of some kind.
Chat also says that Raging Golden Eagle has regular streams who brings other independent comic creators to help shill their books. That's good.
He's like doing what you did, except maybe he didn't get as many knives in his back.
One can hope.
Jack, I can't feel my spine. A big knife right there.
One
The
can hope.
poor Barge. He who likes to be knifed.
All right, let's move on to the next topic then. So, Kyle, what have you got?
First one we'll do is actually a fairly small one. And people may not necessarily be interested in it, but I thought it was worth pointing out because, again, we keep seeing this happen more and more, and I think it's actually a good trend. Regardless of whether or not you like some of these games that are coming from consoles, be it Halo, be it, you know, the Gears of War series, be it the God of War series, these main publisher titles, these main major exclusives for consoles that both Microsoft and Sony have stated several dozen times, way more than that actually, about like these are, you know, PlayStation exclusives and these are like what define PlayStation. And now they've changed their mind and they've decided to publish them on PC as well. I think the end of exclusivity should be something that should be actively promoted because honestly, the developers benefit from getting more sales by putting their games on multiple platforms, and these fandoms benefit from being able to get, you know, more outreach to other groups of people by being on multiple platforms, rather than this forced tribal, you know, hatred of each other that that exclusivity brought on to the common plebeian tier, where you saw, you know, people just blindly attack each other. You like this box? Well, I like this box that plays these discs. Like, woo, that's really creepy and awkward that the sort of tribalism takes over, and for a corporation no less. I think the end of exclusivity is a good thing. So God of War coming to PC, while I'm not a super big fan of the franchise, is a good thing. And I hope more games continue to leave exclusivity behind. And that goes both ways for both PC and console. But I do believe still that we shouldn't make games specifically for things, because that does shaft over the PC hard. If you're familiar with a game called Supreme Commander 2, that is case in point right there of how they downscaled the game just so that it would run better on consoles, and therefore affected the overall product by making it almost completely unworkable in comparison to the previous Supreme Commander title.
Basically, we need things to be created for PC first and foremost, and if it happens to run on some other ass-backwards piece of semi-PC hardware that you put in your living room, good.
The plebeian trash can have leftover scraps, as it were.
I don't mind that. Though it is... See, it is an interesting thing. It is a very interesting thing. This whole tribalism we saw in video gaming. Now, I agree. Less exclusivity, the better. The less exclusivity, the better is just straight up good for everyone involved. Epic has also been scaling back on their exclusivity due to the fact that it didn't really work and it gave them a lot of negative PR. Now, console stuff coming over to pollute our glorious PC hardware has many, many benefits, as it might also allow us to unshackle ourselves a little bit from console hardware, which has been one of the main, how do I put it, retardation factors in the evolution of gaming now, for a very retarding factors? Retarding? There's a word here I'm looking for. I think that's it. Where it's been holding it back. Like, yes, slowing, like graphics, gameplay, etc. A lot of it has been bound to the capabilities of a console for a very long time. If they would actually come around to the point of view that they'll simply just make a version for consoles and a version for PCs, that might actually see us begin to innovate a little bit again for the first time in, like, a decade.
It would be nice. The thing is, I'm personally of the opinion that I think the Nintendo device had it right. Like, I think the way of the console is basically to become eventually they're just going to be like Alienware. Like, whether you like them or hate them, they're just going to sell you a gaming PC for a budget price or something like that. That's honestly where consoles are headed at the rate they're going, or they're going to be heading into some sort of handheld portable device like a Switch or something, where it's portable, it can be, you know, brought on the go, it can fit in a little bag, you know, things of that nature. Because I think people are going to eventually transition to, you know, just having computers, basically. I mean, they basically are computers with locks on them. That's all they are now. Like, they can do slightly less things than a PC can. It's almost like a Mac, really. you know, where you
Yeah.
can't really customize it. They're pre-built like that, which I guess is fine for people who like that kind of stuff, but I think we all benefit from just getting access to more games and just being able to interact with each other more. Like the whole cross-play thing, where PC players can play with consoles. Now, that has brought some issues along the way that can honestly be worked out. But what that has done is that's helped make the gaming community a tighter and larger audience, so that a player base now increases. So if, you know, the console player base or the PC player base is dying, now all of a sudden the other system can come in to help support that player base, and that benefits the game. That benefits the community. And that, I think, is a good thing.
And it's an excellent way to pad one's kill-death ratio.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Even with their aim assist, they stand not a chance with our superior mice. Vertical mice, no less, because we're really full of ourselves today. Really?
It would be good. And a less tribalism in the... Well, not in the video game, just in the society in general. It's been a very interesting evolution we've seen here. To begin with, it was obvious, okay? A console costs a lot of goddamn money. And if you're gonna get one, it's gonna be a pretty major investment. Like, now you can pretty much just get one out of everything, no fucking issues. But back in the day, a console was a hefty piece of hardware. And then you've got to buy the games on top of that, which were not cheap either. People complain a lot about, corporations complain about how games are too cheap now because inflation hasn't been keeping up. Forgetting the fact that initially games were bloody expensive. Like, really, really, really dang expensive.
You're absolutely right. Behind me on my shelf sits Sega Saturn boxes, which are atrociously designed, but there's a sticker that says 80 USD on one of them. So, like...
And that's 80 USD from Sega Saturn days. Like,
yeah,
that's way money.
that's a little bit more. Like, games were remarkably expensive. And honestly, the trend should be continuing to go downward, because the thing is, producing games is actually remarkably easier because of the industry standardizing things and making things easier to produce, which is good. So, honestly, the price shouldn't be 60 anymore. It should actually be 40 or 50. We should be going down because, honestly, with the things like the digital age, because you have to buy them digitally and some of these games only sell digitally, there's no real excuse because they don't have to set up manufacturing and production lines for physical copies anymore. It shouldn't be expensive anymore.
They've cut out one of the most expensive parts of their production cycle. The logistics, the making of the discs, the packaging, etc. All that's gone. Like, all of that is just simply not an expenditure anymore. Not to mention the cut that the video game stores used to take. Also, gone. Well, yeah. Replaced by Sega and by Steam, I suppose. Takes an almost as big a cut, but there's always options. Like, you have other areas to go to, and you can also just sell it for yourself. This is one of the massive errors that a lot of companies do make, where it's actually more expensive to purchase it from their own goddamn page rather than Steam. It's like, haha, you're a turd.
Yeah.
But less of the tribalism is good. Maybe it'll even teach the rest of society that we can get along with one another. Unlikely, but hey, optimism is always good.
But on a serious note, it is good that exclusivity is ending, that Xbox games are going on PlayStation games, and PlayStation games are going on Xbox. Well, some of them. There still needs to be more movement in that area, because while they're coming to PC, that's good. I think they should also end their exclusivity between each other. So we should see a Halo on Xbox or PlayStation. We should see, fucking Mario on Xbox, etc., etc. Eventually, this whole exclusivity thing's gotta just be continually pushed away.
Right, so let me go through a few more super chats before we get on to the next topic. Desert Hamster on Streamlabs says Kibbs said on his stream that he does not like getting donations from viewers. Oh, is this true,
false.
Kyle?
Desert Hamster,
reinterpretation of history.
Firstly, is a Serbian and can't be trusted for the fact that he's a Serbian. The second fact is, chat wanted me to play Amnesia. Okay? I am bad at scary games. As chat found out last night, we played Dead Space 2, and I played Dead Space 1, barely made it through that alive, and without having a fucking heart attack. And Dead Space 2 has also been a fairly rough ride. Now, people are like, it's very actiony. It's not that scary, Kips. It is pretty scary to me. Amnesia, you can't even shoot the monsters. That's pretty bad for me. If you can shoot the monsters, I can kind of make it. If you can't shoot them, oh, fuck. Like, oh, no. It's like the Invincible Necromorph sections of the Dead Space games. Oh, they're very hard for me to get through.
Amnesia is a painful video game.
It's made careers, it'll break careers.
I wish Kyle had started doing scary games when Amnesia was coming out. Or no, when, oh, God, the one, Jesus, what was his name? The icy one.
The icy one?
Yes, it was called. And you had to open doors, and there was like a gray, an actual gray alien. Like, monster.
What?
It was a thing. It was a thing. It was definitely a thing. But Kyle should have done scary games like 10, 20 years ago. Yes, there you go.
Back when PewDiePie was exploding. The problem is I thought about it even as a younger kid, and I was like, I tried it. I actually bought Amnesia Dark Descent, or not? Is it Amnesia Dark Descent? That's the one that was before even like I remember seeing PewDiePie. I bought that game because I was like, I want to do YouTube, and I know this is kind of a popular trend, and I want to get into YouTube, and I've always wanted to get into it. And then I played Amnesia, and I couldn't. I got to the first monster where it did the scary, like, weird thing with your camera and the noise, and I Alt F4'd, and I don't think I've ever started it again, honestly, since then.
It is an awful little video game.
Gotta ask Soma or Cryostasis?
No. It's old. It's older than either of those.
It's like a PlayStation 2 game. I think I remember like this game where you're like a little space dude and there was a heart meter and like you're walking around on a spaceship thingy and then like this little girl would like come and then your heart would like stop.
Don't know about that either. I know it was bloody ancient. That's all I know.
For number 2.
Because then Kyle would have been a much bigger person, which would have been good.
For number 2 for seeing Grace.
Penumbra.
Yeah,
Penumbra, I think it was, yes.
That's the game that came before Amnesia, actually. That's their first game, I think.
Outraged Deer says, why do you think that it's so hard for modern-day writers to understand Conan? It feels like every story that portrayed a man, they think he's just a strong man that kills bad things, but in the original pulp, he's philosopher king and a warrior poet. See, Conan is a character that is difficult to understand for modern people because it is a much simpler story. See, that's something that we have genuinely lost over the years. The understanding that stories can actually sometimes be simple. The Lord of the Rings is a damned simple story with only really one unique twist. Namely that it's not the hero that, throws the ring into Mount Doom. It's a hobbit, and it's an evil hobbit too, Smeagol, who knocks it over the edge and so on. That was a really, really cool story, and he changed the perspective of actually literally everything. Because it's the hobbits that make this journey, the weakest, the smallest, the frightened, it makes it a completely brand new story. But overall, it's really goddamn simple. There's an evil character. He's unambiguously evil. In fact, he's the literal son of the god of evil, basically. There's no redeeming features whatsoever. And the good guys are just that. They are irredeemably good people. And hey, again, this is the basis of so many goddamn stories. It doesn't have to be that difficult. And Conan, too. Conan is an incredibly simple story. Conan's big, he's strong, he kills shit, and he screws women. Hot women that wear very little clothing. Okay, you know what? I can get behind that. It's a good story. There's nothing to really complain about there.
Yep. And it's also from an age when, the puritanical nature of, the world was a lot worse, especially with Christian Puritanism. And so Conan was very much counterculture in that regard because it was, it was very vulgar, very, very abrupt with like nudity and violence and blood and things of that nature. So it was also very spicy for the time.
Oh yes, blood. See, that's something people often forget too. The Christian conservative style of censorship. The good part about it was that he was incompetent, and he didn't really want to censor anything. He would whinge and whine, and occasionally it'll get something done, but it was very, very rare because it was overt. It didn't have the sneaky, subversive aspect of our modern day censorship nonsense, which is far, far more effective. But blood? Oh, Jesus. I was so shocked as a kid the first time I saw like a Conan magazine, and it was black and white, so the blood was just, black. And I was like, holy shit, I've never seen anything like this.
Yep. Absolutely spicy. I remember thinking Conan was very,
spicy.
very cool, even as a kid. I was like, wow, look at this big muscle, bro. Look at him fucking chop people up into mincemeat.
And he's fighting like monsters, like actual monsters, like teeth and claws and gory
giant serpents and dinosaur things, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, Conan was good stuff. And again, like, people today, this is kind of the fruit picker problem. The fruit picker problem is the idea that you have people in modern day societies that are unemployed, that are living, on benefits, and they're too good for picking fruits or anything like that. Incidentally, the salary for a fruit picker in England right now, due to the lack of immigrants, is something like £30. No, what is it? £15 an hour, I think, which is enormous. That's $20 an hour, maybe, for doing something that requires no education, no special skills, and, well, nothing beyond a pair of functioning hands.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the issue in the writing circles as well. People are too good today to write Conan. Because, no, my character needs to be homosexual. He needs to be deep and needs to have a troubled backstory. And yet he also always needs to be perfect as well. And so you get characters like, Burnham from STD.
Oh God. Don't bring that up. That's a terrible show.
That is a terrible show. And Conan, too, for all of his obvious powerfulness, and intelligence, too. Conan's not a stupid character by any stretch of the imagination. He never at any point refutes the idea that he's a barbarian. Like, he knows he's a savage barbarian. He knows he doesn't have the grace of civilization. And he knows he'll probably never get it either. And he knows he's not the most intelligent person around either. He has his own cunning, however. He's got his own strength, and he has his own resilience. That's another thing, too. Conan gets himself in trouble all the goddamn time, and then gets out of it via resilience and self-reliance. Further bad words in this day and age.
Mm-hmm. And Conan's apparently not unlikable either. Like, he befriends many people, and even civilized folk as well, that become his companions throughout his many adventures and misadventures.
Oh, yes. Conan is good stuff. And the thing, too, is the reason why Conan is still going, being as old a character probably as bloody Superman, is again because there's always new stuff. Like, he ages. This is another thing that DC and Marvel could have done and should have done, was simply age their characters so that they would be naturally replaced or go through different periods of history. Which is why my personal Conan stuff is King Conan. I love the King Conan arc. That is so much fun.
I haven't actually seen that arc, actually.
God damn you, failure.
It sounds very interesting. Conan as a king, he probably would make a wise ruler.
He does, and there's also lots of proper warfare stuff. It is good stuff.
The Conan universe is actually quite interesting. I learned a little bit more about it actually from that game we played, because I actually did a little bit more reading, like the different factions and stuff like that, the different nations, Iboria, whatever it's called, the snake cult. And then I watched the Conan movie, which was not bad. It was weird.
It was very Arnold Schwarzenegger before he learned how to act.
Oh, like he can't act.
One day, Kyle, one day you should watch Hercules in New York, like Arnold's first movie, not with the dub, with the original acting. Like it is amazing.
Oh my god, I seen Junior. Like we went on a binge of watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies because why not? And oh my god, Junior is I think the most cursed movie I've seen of him thus far.
It's it should not be allowed to exist, and yet it does.
And they're gonna make a sequel to that. Think about that
Yeah,
for a
they
second.
are.
Now in today's
They are,
world, they're probably
because,
gonna be like, "This is normal." Yes, it hurts, doesn't it? He's like, "Owie." Good, let the pain flow through you.
Crazy Loon says, hey Arch, have you ever heard the Rebootian heresy? If so, what do you think? I don't know if I've heard of the Rebootian heresy. I've seen the Dornian heresy, but I don't think I've read that version of it. So I can't really comment, unfortunately. Whiskey Potato says, listen to ArchCast for 2 hours or put Erica on repeat for 2 hours. Sorry, Teddy Arch. I know you'll forgive me for my choice. I will not forgive you for that bloody choice, no.
He betrayed you? Ban him. Another knife
Most
in his
definitively not.
Maybe toothpick size, but it's still there.
The Grizzly says, hey Arch and Kibbs, do you think Hollywood will go out of business if they keep failing like this with their woke agenda and we'll see a resurgence of independent filmmaking outside of LA? Well, the thing is, the reason why they're not dying is because of investor money, by and large. Like, a lot of these companies get a lot of money from outside sources, from wealthy investors, and they don't really necessarily even need to run at a profit, at the very least, definitely not in the short term. This is why you still have STD on air. Star Trek STD is still alive and kicking on a 3rd season, and it's probably going to keep going because they've got the money to just keep it going. They have that much seed capital.
If it's not super profitable, it doesn't matter. Like, the thing about Hollywood is it's not going to go away. It's kind of the same thing with, like, people going like, oh, World of Warcraft's dying, Activision's dying. Yeah, that it's losing players, but the only thing that's going to really kill it is going to be when it pulls the server down. Like, I rip on GW all the time for being dead, because in reference to dead being soulless, being the fact that they don't give a shit about their audience, they don't like their audience, in fact, they hate their audience, but they're not dead. Like, they're not actually dead as a company. And they will not be dead for a very long time because there's too many casuals that consume them, and on top of that, they have too much external funding to die. They will remain around forever.
And that is the thing as well. Like, we are in such a weird period in history right now where there are companies. There's a handful of companies with so much power and money and influence that competing with them really isn't an option. Even with all of the ability we have now to reach new people, competition is, on the one hand, easier than ever, and on the other, harder than ever as well. It's a weird situation. Let's see. All right, let me do the... this will be a short little topic because it's mildly interesting as well.
Okay.
I sent you a link for Paizo, which now recognizes United Paizo Workers. This is the union that was created from Paizo workers, and this happens shortly after 40 freelance employers, English, Jesus, Kyle, you've infected me.
It happens.
Employees said that they would stop working, and they were even withholding scripts that were either done or in the middle of being finished, until Paizo, the developer of Pathfinder and Starbinder, recognized their union. It's kind of a gun to the head kind of setting right there.
Yeah. What do you think that means, though, in the grand scheme of things?
I think that means that Paizo is going to die, actually, because according to one of their lead designers, Paizo's not earning any money. Like, they've got a staff of, like, I think they mentioned 30, 40 people, And they're employing at least that number again in just freelancers. And they're paying those 30, 40 people nothing. Like they're paying them like $30,000 a year. That's
And
not
that's a
good.
big friggin' company too. Like that's a big, well, a bigger company than me, and I'm paying my people basically that. That's not good. That's very
Yeah,
bad.
no, like that's the thing too. 30, 40 employees is not a small company by any stretch of the imagination. Yet they're paying them dirt. They're paying them actual dirt, and apparently overworking them like crazy as well. And yet still they are seeing razor thin profit margins because people are simply not willing to purchase their products for the price it costs to make them. And now they've got a union, which means they can't fire people easily. They can't get rid of the fact. They can't really do anything now without going through a third body entity. And here's the thing, too, unions need employees. They need people to run it. They need people who get paid to do things like keep paperwork and sit in on meetings and organize things. So now there is yet another expense for the Paizo workers, paying for their own goddamn union, meaning that their monetary crunch is going to get even harsher, meaning they'll push for even greater salaries. And if they already can't afford to keep the company running whilst paying their employees in dog biscuits and head pats, we're going to see a long yet inevitable decline over Paizo, I suspect.
That's going to be. That's going to leave a vacuum. Because what's going to happen with those two IPs? The ones I see on the cover there, Pathfinder and Starbinder. Now, Starbinder is not as big as Pathfinder, but I hear lots of people talk about Pathfinder pretty regularly. So that's not a particularly good thing.
Pathfinder is the only actual competitor to D&D. Like, it is the only actual competitor. Now, the problem is also that Paizo is an incredibly woke company that have hired incredibly woke people and have also fully embraced diversity to the point that they will hire people based on the fact that they've got a vagina or they've got a particular skin color. You know, a very, very good progressive corporation there. Beneficial and everything. Except, of course, they can't pay them. And then... I did love this, because I read a previous article on this where the Paizo workers were complaining and putting forth their side of the argument, right? And there was one part where one person was like, you know, I feel like a token hire, because they told me I was a token hire.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. The thing is, when we recruit people for our indie project, I don't even care what their skin color is, their religion or gender, it doesn't fucking matter. I care about their skills and if they are actually qualified to do the things I need them to do. And that's the most important thing. I always hate the fact...
frighteningly backwards of you, Kyle.
I know.
I cannot condemn this enough. In fact, I'm going to condemn this so much that I'm going to give you like 5 minutes to monologue once
You're
I
going to waddle away, are you, little fat fuck?
I hear a pastry calling to me, and I forgot that I hadn't put it out of the fridge. So right now, it's really cold.
Can you believe the Barch being a goddamn traitor? Every time. Knives in his back. What about knives in my back, chat? After all I've done for this little blonde bimbo, and he leaves me here with you. The chat. The worst part is, it's Barch's chat. But I see some people I like, so you know what? It's not so bad. See, the thing is, I was talking to him about this, and I kind of wanted him to hear it because I wanted to hear his thoughts on it. Now that he's waddled away, it's just like, well, I could continue to talk about the thing I was talking about, but then I won't get a response, and I'll have to just reiterate it a second time. And that's just not going to be fun now, is it? That's just not going to be a dialogue. It's just going to be me talking to myself, which is what I do regularly. Already. I don't need to do that more than I already do. You know what I'm saying? Of course you do. Oh well. But yeah, when it comes to like recruiting people for whatever project, be it your own project, chat, you know, honestly just hire people based on who they are. But you also have to be aware of certain things like, you know, SJWs, which is a tragic thing, mind you. Like, you have to actually investigate the people you recruit because you can't trust a squeaky wheel. Squeaky wheels are bad. What do? They break the whole thing. And if they jeopardize the whole of the project, well, not only is it ruining your project, but it's affecting everyone else. Not a good thing, chat. Not a good thing. So you do have to scrutinize the people you hire, but you need to scrutinize them based on how they act, how they behave. Look at their social media. What do they post? It's sad, but it has come to that nowadays.
It is. You've got to investigate them. You got to go after them, and you got to look at them. And if there's words like they, them in their profile, then you just got to draw an X over that and move on. It's your only
Actually,
hope.
he's not wrong. If I see a they, them in their profile picture, generally speaking, I'm like, no, I'm not going to run the risk because, honestly, what you're jeopardizing the project, and now you're putting everyone else who's involved in the project at risk with somebody who might not be stable. You can't trust that. You can't trust that. So you have to hire people based on that. Like, I don't mind hiring people that lean left. I don't mind hiring people that lean right. I've had to fire people that were too far left. I've had to fire people that were too far right because they went unhinged. Like, absolutely insane. And when they go unhinged, you got to cut the rope. You can't, like, if they go to the point where it's like, oh, you know, the Romans were a spacefaring civilization, which actually did happen, you need to be aware of who you're bringing on your team and be like, that is a little bit of an interesting take there. Well, yes, the Romans were apparently spacefaring, and they did land on the moon, mind you.
Good for them.
An interstellar empire. These are the people that you need to be wary of. But now,
These are the people you need.
keep plowing through those super chats. They're piling up. Are you ready to move on to the next subject?
I'll do a couple of super chats, and then we'll move on to the retarded part of today. Yes. Black 1917 says, Squeck and Hail Hutch, Christ our Lord and Saviour. Breed Gibbs, I'll bring the pencil. Can't breed him through that hole, sadly. Also, what are your thoughts on Disney telling employees to stop arguing with fans because it's costing them money? I think that's a good first step, though Disney might need to look a little bit deeper into why their employees are arguing with fans. Like, just telling them not to is not going to have the effect you're looking for here, I think. But, you know, it's a good first step. It's a beginning. Yeah, something.
To start.
Whether or not it'll do anything beyond that, again, well... It does kind of do... How do I put it? It joins in on a long line of actions that companies are taking these days to rectify their image a little bit. No, that is something that is happening, and that is very beneficial. That we are seeing a fair few more companies now try to move a little bit away from the wokeness. Like Netflix, for example, saying that the reviewers should focus on reviewing the actual product instead of trying to come up with the politics of the products instead. This is a beneficial thing.
Very much.
Ike of Pike says, A in-between is banning the use of the main character unless the original creator okays it, but same IP, thus having a new version a la Kamen Rider. A in-between is banning the use of the main character. I heard. Maybe, spin-up character. I mean, how many Power Rangers have existed? Potentially. But at that point, there's already so many goddamn superheroes. The Real Holtonator says, if you dress up as a porcupine, are you a furry or a quilly? That depends. And I'm not going to elaborate, because I don't think it depends on anything good. Maranga 2, I shall carry on shilling Saga Age of Invasion has released, allowing you to now field Sassanids with elephants in the late antiquity module, taking us to 5 settings with the same rules. That is the tabletop game, isn't it? A historical tabletop game. Saga.
Okay, now I can finally pull up the art. We finally got to that thing. He sent me a picture, which I will send to you, and I will pull up for chat. And no, it isn't gay porn this time. I know, regrettable as it may be, Arch. Oh,
Regrettable as it may be.
there's the dices. And the dices are very cultured. You can see some English dices, you can see some sort of Celtic dices, and you can see some filthy, savage dices with little animals.
Okay. Those are the kind of dices I would immediately ban on my table, because I'm like, what do these random goddamn icons mean?
Listen, having cute little derpy icons is adorable. Like, oh, what's
They're pretty,
that?
but they're derpy.
It's very stylistic.
That's nice, though. Historical tabletop's kind of cool. Not I can't be asked painting models anymore, but if they can ship the models painted to my house, that'd be lovely.
Tragedy. You've told
It
me
is.
how you paint your models. I remember when we first met. You're like,
I
yeah,
glue
so I
them to
like,
something and then I spray paint them.
because that's back when I was actually trying to get into Warhammer during the End Times event thing, and then I stopped because I realized that Warhammer was trash because of the End Times. But he's like, yeah, just put all the models on a thing and you just sort of spray paint them brown. Like, okay.
It works.
They're all brown. Like brown. Brown.
They're Skaven. They're supposed to be brown.
Close enough, as they say.
Jafar the Blade says, hello, Arch. Kibbs is a big coward.
Yeah. And what are you going to do about it? You going to cry? You going to cry about it? You little crybaby? It's like, what? Coward's making fun of me. This isn't good. Not good optics, no.
Cal, were you a big crybaby?
When it comes to scary games, yes. I couldn't play the first level of the Halo that had the flood as a kid for a very long time. I had to wait for friends to come over to help me beat it.
That's frighteningly homosexual.
Republic Commando.
Also, he says
Scary
a
too.
cringy catchphrase, but in German this time. Screw you. Screw you. The sharpest fangs do not win. Screw you. Bad person. Bad. Why did that become a thing? It became a thing because I complained about it, didn't I? It's like, the author really wanted this terrible meme to become a thing, and it annoys me. And so chat's like, it annoys you, does it? Shouldn't have let us know that. Though, you know what the worst part is, Kyle? Occasionally people will send me German because they're like, you can read this. And then it's like, die schaffeste fangen, die right. And it's German words too, and I've forgotten half of the retard words, like the bee that looks like it's pregnant.
Preganto bee. It's like, you know.
Preganto bee. I don't even know how to pronounce half this shit anymore. If you spoke it to me, I'd probably understand it. But you know what the worst part is? The other day, somebody sent me something that looked like German, and I looked at it, and I was like, why can't I read this? And I tried to read it like 5 times, and like, I recognize these words. I know what these words mean, but this makes no sense. So eventually I went to Google and like, okay, what the fuck does this mean? And I was like, this is not German. What do you mean, Google? This is Dutch. Fuck you.
Don't worry about it. Listen, German is a wonderful language that I just love to tell Fairman while Fairman's sitting in the room and correct him on how he speaks German. It's always funny. He gets very mad.
Fairman's is the person that says that Panzer is pronounced Panther, so he doesn't deserve a lot of yelling at.
I don't think he says Panther though. I think that's a Barch thing.
He did say Panther.
The Panzer.
He had a whole thing where he claimed to me that they didn't use the Z.
Did he? We'll have to ask Fairbear and have a Fairbear debate.
But German is one thing. The German language is mildly understandable. It makes for a very effective yelling in angry language. But Swamp German, I'm still absolutely convinced, is not a language.
Swamp German. What's Swamp German? Where's that from?
Dutch.
Bavaria? The Dutch people. The Danes. Danger little savages. Let's get a DM from Fairman.
You munchkin. What's wrong with you?
Let's see what Fairman says. He lies. Absolutely. Arch Fairbear has spotted you telling sweet succulent lies. Cancel Barch.
He's delusional, that's what he is. The worst part is, too, he doubled down when he said Panther. I was like, are you sure that's right? And he's like, yes.
He claims that's not what he said. I
He
think
said that.
See, I think that Arch is the one who actually said that and doubled down on it.
Kyle, it's your stream. You go find it. You
It's
said it on
my
stream.
stream. This is your
Go find
stream.
This is. We said it on your stream. You go find it.
Out of how many streams that are like 8 hours long?
Don't care. Plus, Fairham's only like 2 of them. Now, Caithness Barbarian says, a wee donation for the many, many years of entertainment from you, Arch, and I've grown fond of Kibs.
Good.
And the rest as I've been watching too. Good evening to you all, Screw GW. Hail to the Lyrian Commonwealth. Hail Clan Jade Falcon.
Oof.
Thank you very much. Myth. I need to get away from Kyle, my English. Thank you very much, Caithness. $27, very generous. Thank you. Kyle, maybe you should stop speaking for a while, because I feel my English falling out of my head right now.
See, that's true.
Like, we're approaching the Norwegian territory where I'm going to say Viking wrong.
Listen, now that many of your audience, the ones that are worthwhile, have realized that Kibbs is superior to Arch, I'm getting DMs from these people who are superior to Archie as well, that apparently Panzer isn't actually pronounced Panzer.
Exactly.
But that's from actual other sources, and that's from, apparently, the pronunciation is Panzer, as in T-S-E-R, not Z-E-R. Is this true? Can we corroborate this story, chat? Is the great Panzer battle about to begin? Also, I do want to remind you from that same conversation, and you said Panzerbusche, or something like that. Bush. Tank Bush.
Panzer is a Russian missile system, according to Google.
Arch has said Tank Bush on several occasions. He will probably do so again in the near future. He loves his bushes.
American says, I shall carry on Shilling Saga. Age of Invasion has released, allowing you to now feel fascinated with elephants in antiquity. Did I read that?
I don't think so.
Series 5 setting with the same rule. I think so. Carl, you're wrong. Fuku Ninja, Heavy Metal Magazine is a thing. Well, Heavy Metal Magazine was a thing. Is it still a thing? Does it still exist?
Google. Come here, Monopoly.
1977. Because I remember this being a thing, but I remember being a very old thing.
HeavyMetal.com. Well, there's a website.
The various covers I can find are from, like, the latest is 2012, so it definitely was a thing. That was cool too. Because again, that was during the time of actual, like, Christian conservatism, where having scantily clad women on a cover was very weird. And they're like, oh my god, what is this?
You're like,
now you're not allowed to have scantily clad women on the cover either, but for completely different reasons.
The more puritanicalism changes, the more it stays the same.
I am convinced we humans want puritanicalism. Like, we'll escape it for like 5 years, and then we'll right back at it again.
These are the same people that did the whole, like, no alcohol in America, which helped spawn the mob.
Which, to be fair, was a good idea. Less alcohol for America is good. Maranga2 says, I shall keep giving super chats until you try Saga Age of Vikings. Might tickle your Norwegian side. Well, if you're going to keep paying me until I do it, I see no reason to play it.
He's like, wait.
This is a poor strategy on your behalf.
Like, I don't understand it. My money gets smaller and he still doesn't do it.
Maranga2 also says, I sent Kyle a picture of Saga Dice. I read that. Dick there for a second.
If he sent me one of those, he'd be on the block list.
Because I sent Kyle a picture of Saga Dice, I like Kibbs. So my brain was like, I sent Kyle a picture of Saga Dick, I like Kibbs.
Also, I did look at the Metal Magazine thing. Just looking at the cover art, they're woke as hell.
Oh, have they gone the other direction, have they?
They have.
Good for them.
They've decided to become Puritans, I guess.
Lovely. Good. Fantastic.
They've been converted, as it were.
Well, it's good that they've seen the light, I suppose.
Terrible.
Black 1917 says the advantage of console are gone. So many people are spending the money that they would have spent on a new console and a new computer or upgrading their current one, and of course, mods. Yes, it is true. Consoles are sad things that are outdated and should be ashamed of themselves.
See, Arch is now doing what we call a joke chat. I have to explain this to people because people don't understand humor anymore.
Consoles should be ashamed of themselves.
He's kidding. Arch, don't make me do damage control again. Arch is
Inferior PCs.
as he just tumbles down the cliff. Every goddamn time.
One day, Kyle, you too will realize that inferior PCs are inferior.
The only reason why Arch's channel is still around is probably because of me. I'm very convinced of that at this point. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have survived. You'd be dead in a ditch somewhere, preferably.
More importantly, let's talk about Grand Theft Auto, because you have a trailer here, which you really wanted to show because you enjoyed it so much.
Honestly, I was at the point where I was looking through gaming news throughout the week, and I was adding it to my list, and I couldn't add, like, I saw this, I didn't want to add it. Chicken coop. Oh, my eardrums. Mute that. Terrible. Skip. But yeah, they're remastering Grand Theft Auto. And this is from a multi-million-dollar company. And I look at it and I go like, it's so, what's the word?
Worse.
Lazy? Like, this reminds me of Warcraft 3 Reforged. Like, that's what this reminds me of. Warcraft 3 Reforged. Where, yeah, sure, there's higher poly counts and there's some extra layers and stuff, but it feels like something is missing now. Like, part of the charm just absolutely evaporated. Oof, that one was bad.
It's just brighter. Like, it's brighter now, and it's more colorful, and in increasing the pixel count, if anything, they just took away the charm of the old game.
Yes. And so I figured I'd bring this up because this is an interesting thing. Like, some games do get remastered, and sometimes a game needs to be remastered. If you played the System Shock remake, fuck, that is really good. I played that not too long ago, and I was really enjoying the System Shock remake demo on GOG. It's really good. And some games need it, other games don't. And in regards to this, honestly, the simple solution, I think, would just to be re-release the game if you have to, but just patch it with modern widescreen support and update the controls. It's a really simple fix. But this is very much a greedy cash grab. It's like, ooh, money. And it's always interesting because you get to see the casuals, right? And how many there are. There's 27,000 people that dislike it, which is actually quite high when you think about it in terms of how many people don't like it, versus 432,000, which is a lot more people by and large. But the thing is, what you see here is this is an example of a franchise that's been heavily casualized. The casual numbers will always outweigh the people who have been, you know, more diehard or more hardcore aspects of the fandom. They always do, every single time. And you can see here that in effect. This game will probably do pretty well. But the thing is, it's very lazy. It's not like Warcraft 3 Reforged, where it's a niche game, you know? Where it's a niche game as in a niche genre, like RTS. RTS is much more niche than the Grand Theft Auto's open world sandbox formula. And so that, I don't know, it's just really weird to me personally. But you get to see that.
It will do very well. You know why? Because it's GTA.
Yep, it's GTA, and GTA just sells. I mean, they've been selling you the same game, was it 5 now? For how long? They've been reselling it for a decade. They've been selling the
exact same game many times. And they were not going to stop, because why would they stop? What?
Casually eat it up.
There's no reason. Again, look at that like to dislike, right? So they pissed off 27,000 people. Enough to go and download a video. All right. But they've gained 432,000 people.
Yep. The thing is, they could easily recapture a lot of that 27,000 dislikes by just simply making the game better and thus increasing the sales, but why bother? Because the casual market vastly outweighs the more hardcore audience. It's tragic, yes. But this is something you see in the main franchise. You'll see this in Call of Duty. You'll see this in, the Battlefield series. You'll see this in the more mainstream things. Because unfortunately, people who are more interested in love the heart and spirit of these games, the soul of them, aren't at the same amount as versus the guy who buys the game, plays it for 6 hours maybe, and never beats it, and then, never touches it again. But will buy it anyways. This is something that we've reached, and this is a tragic thing. Like, you can always, the nice thing about tracking stuff and information, because we're developing our own game, I thought about how to track player fall off and things like that and that nature. And one way to do it is like with, achievements. You can track achievements. If you're ever curious, chat, look at some of the games you own. Go to the achievements. See how many people actually completed the game. See where the player fall off is. And if you play the game enough, you're like, oh yeah, that sewer level. Look at that 20% dip of people didn't complete it. Now it's not always accurate because Steam achievements are a bit borked, but it gives you a relatively good reading of, player fall off. How many people actually got the ending in Nier Automata? Not that many. The true ending, most people beat like the first playthrough, and then the fall off begins to occur, and it really shows. It's always interesting because you get to see what makes it and what doesn't. That's actually one of the big reasons why things like BioWare and other major RPG companies, when they talk to publishers, and they're like, hey, we want to do this entirely separate storyline in this same RPG where the game splits like that. And then, you know what the publishers always say every time? They're like, okay, so you want to make content that half of the players will never play because half of the players don't play through a second time to get a second ending, to go the second path. That's just generally what happens. And they'll be like, why are we paying for this? And it's true. Why are they? Because the hardcore audience is unfortunately smaller than the casual, and that's regrettable.
We do need more hardcore players, but again, that's the cost of going mainstream, isn't it?
Yep.
Mainstream was a mistake.
It brought more money, but it also brought more sadness, more complacency.
Brought far more sadness than it brought money, though, in my opinion. Which is the tragedy.
Well, it brought more money to these companies, sadly. Which only compounded their problems because they're like, well, why bother doing it? Because most people don't do a second playthrough, which is true. Most people don't. I may play through a game multiple times, but does everybody do it? Not likely. Tragic.
There's also the entire remastered thing, and more importantly, far, far more importantly than your Grand Theft Auto obsessions, Kyle, is, of course,
I don't even like Grand
the
Theft Auto.
next big video game in history. The video game that will blow us all away with its astounding...
now you're using my articles? I see. By my articles, the ones I stole from Niche Gamer. Listen. Concept art's cute. I'll play the trailer in the background, but I'm going to have it muted because, honestly, we could probably talk about what they say. It's literally a minute and 28 seconds.
Mute everything, because people scan a lot for sounds these days, it turns out. I also want to say, Niche Gamer, a very good site, and you should check them out. Good people.
Yeah, they do a good job of actually being a good news aggregate. It's a shame they don't actually get more outreach, but that's because everybody's actively working against them. They should be promoted more.
Yeah.
One of the few news aggregates for gaming that actually talk about games. Like they care. It's a tragedy. An actual tragedy.
We return to the idea of forming alliances, which is a hazardous process, as it turns out.
Arch looks at his back and ow.
But look at this Starfield thing, though. Look at this. Okay, first and foremost, let's just talk about the fact that we still know nothing about this video game. Absolutely nothing. Beyond that, it'll take place in a place called the Settled Systems, which is the most boring name in the history of boring names. Like, the place where we live. Okay.
Settled Systems, where?
The living room system would be more interesting. And the concept art, what the hell even is this? There's rocks that are blue. Why are the rocks blue? Why are there blue bands on the rocks? Is that a scan? Are the rocks actually just blue? Why are the rocks blue, Kyle? Explain.
I'm sorry, I was just reading the comment. Hi, I'm one of the worst writers employed by a major video game studio. Let me tell you about the generic as hell spaceship and hope the strength of the art design distracts you from the how uncreative any of it sounds. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was listening to this. I was like, okay, so there's factions, and they're like, there's like pirates and the bat and the two colonies, they fight each other, but they're not fighting no more. It's like, oh my god, dude, shut the fuck up.
Here at Bethesda, after having been purchased by Microsoft, we realized nothing matters anymore, so we set out to make the most soul-crushingly boring experience we could imagine. Welcome to space. We're going to take this from you as well.
Like, here, chat, I'll be kind and gentle or something. I'll link you this, and you can listen to it for those who are curious for yourself in chat. But like, this thing doesn't, like, the concept art doesn't look half bad. But, that's the artist. But the thing is, the way it's presented feels so dry and so uninspired that it's like, I don't care. Like, okay, like, let's talk about the designs of those guys right there, right? At the 54-second mark. They talk about there's like a religious fanatical group. These designs, personally, one thing I noticed, that some of them are suffering a little bit from over-design, where there's just a bunch of needless crap everywhere.
A little bit from over-design?
Just a pinch, just a hair.
Just a pinch. Let me introduce you to the dude on the left there. His arms have arms on them.
His arm, he looks like a square. Now, this is concept art, to be fair to the artist.
His legs have legs on them, Kyle.
But this is what they decided to present to us. We're like, I show a lot of our concept art because our chat is literally, our game is crowdsourced. Like, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have commissioned it. They have every right to see it. But the thing is, here is an actual major goddamn company that makes billions of dollar dues and is also publisher is freaking Microsoft. And this is all they have to show for. No insult intended towards the concept artists who just drew this for, his paycheck. But like,
now
this is what they wanted to show us.
To focus on the positive, I do like the fact that 2 out of 3 of these outfits focus on the crotch quite heavily. I like that. One has got it like framed nicely. The other one has like a different color there to go like, this is my pee-pee.
Like, my balls are here. If you aim there, it'll really blast them off. And the guy on the right's like, at least my balls are safe.
Yes, at least his balls are safe, but he is carrying his, I presume, oxygen container in a loose, flappy tube that hangs from his mask. Just in that area where you're often moving your arms.
It gets snagged and it pops off, and he's like,
oh, shit, not again.
Yeah, I never understood, like, the loose, like, these things aren't designed, like, with the intention of practicality behind it. Even ignoring that, stylistically, let's talk about it stylistically, for its fucking benefit. These are boring.
Yeah.
Like,
so
it's generic sci-fi suit. Like, what's the culture behind it? What's the idea behind it? They talked about some religious faction. Okay, where's, like, was it, like, a sort of orthodoxy style of religion? Like, it's very, like, what's the word? Robust. It's got that, or is it, like, Arabic? Is it very, smooth and curvy? Is it Catholic? Does it have some, like Gothic design to it? Like, what about this is interesting to look at? Like, any of the pictures actually here. Like, okay, there's some concept art, neato fucking Cheeto, as Blonde Bimbo would say. Like, there's a busy, bustling market that looks almost kind of dystopian, cyberpunk-y. This tells me nothing about anything.
It's a cyberpunk market. Which will not look anything like this in the video game. It'll be... Here, let me translate this bustling market to you to video game terminology. First and foremost, remove all of the characters. There will be none of the characters here. That whore over there will not be smoking in the alleyway. Or if she does, she will simply just be an animation character that stands there all goddamn day. The lighting will also be just gone. The person hawking his wares will not be hawking his wares. None of the liveliness. Just take all of the life out of this picture, and you'll have the video game variant. Like, I hate concept art like this because it is so divorced from the actual product that it's nothing. It's just it's a painting. It's color. That's it is a painting. It is a painting.
You know what I like to do when I stream a game, right? Is what I actually do nowadays. I don't grab the video game's cover art because everyone does that. You know what I grab? I type in the video game's name and concept art, and I grab a piece of interesting concept art. Because often, that picture is more interesting than anything you'll see in the game. It's very true, though. Like, the concept art is, the more inspired version. Wouldn't it be something if you played this game and you went into this bustling city where the skyscraper buildings, they go up and they blot out the sun, and there's, like, there's this guy trying to be like, hey, buy my fucking meat shish kebab. It's got alien testicles. It tastes really good. And then, you can engage in dialogue like, what are you talking about? Meat testicles. And then he goes on like, so this alien has 3 testicles, and that's why the shish kebab has 3 testicles on it.
Actually, I really love to see an alien with 3 testicles just for shits and giggles.
It needs to produce. Listen, the protein value is pretty good. And it tastes a little bit like jerky. Like, okay.
See, this is why I'm going to make a species whose procreation is basically just violent combat.
Like, we fuck our enemy? Wait, this sounds weird.
Well, not the enemy. No, friends and family, of course.
Friends and family. Emphasis on family. Well,
there'll be family afterwards, Connor.
Archie's like, I was looking at Zoroastrianism, and I thought, what if there was an entire race designed around this?
What if we make a society where the process of courtship is essentially that of violent intercourse?
Hate fucking. Bum, 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 bum.
There was even a Monster Girl manga that actually had this concept where it was basically like, I don't want a man who isn't strong enough to pin me down and grape me.
Grape me?
Grape me, yes.
Look at him trying to censor himself like the little coward he is.
I am, because have you seen the use of YouTube censorship these last few days? Good God.
I know. My channel's so heavily suppressed it's not even funny, because you certainly don't censor yourself over there.
Here's the deal, Kyle. You stop saying mean words on this channel, I'll stop saying mean words on yours.
But I'm not going to stop.
There you go.
And so the cycle continues.
Come to Kyle's channel to see me use the C word frequently, which, as far as YouTube is concerned, is equal with the N word. So I'm thinking of trying that one next.
God damn it, Ketchup actually did do that. Bad Ketchup.
Arts and everything. Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's like, God damn it.
Well,
at least pretend it's
channel
not
is still
the
there.
name. They won't delete your channel. They'll just suppress you, which is basically you being like, oh, look at the views that I get now.
It's actually worse, because you'll just be like, I still have a hope, yet I don't actually.
We're growing slowly. Tragedy.
All right, let me do a couple more super chats, and then we'll move on to the last topic of today, which is also the dumbest one of them all. I keep seeing that super chat, which I keep reading as I sent Kyle a picture of my saga dick, but never mind.
Moronga 2 will burn.
Crazy Loon says Kyle would be bigger, which is good. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, but then he too would stab you in the back. That's true. That is true. Kyle's not a very good person.
Listen, have you seen all I've done more for Arch than any one of you in chat, even all of you combined, does for Arch.
Actually, no, they've given me money. You haven't.
That's actually false. I have given you money.
I don't believe it.
I have receipts to prove it.
I haven't seen
like, look at him squirm and squeal like the little bigot he is.
Crazy Loon says you should read the Rebooting Heresy. It's 5 times better than the crap GW is currently making. Well, not a very high bar. Ah, god damn it, GW. Like, I really used to love Black Library books, but Jesus Christ. I don't even want to continue reading the Horus Heresy anymore, because I've been told it gets just so bad.
But what about the Emperor's wife who did all the work and the Emperor didn't do anything?
You're going to get muted if you don't shut up in 5.
Listen, you can mute me, but chat will still hear me.
3.
Urda is the true hero. Nosgoth or Nagoth or whatever the stupid name was. Didn't do anything.
Oh, they named him.
What's his name?
See, half of me just wants to read that just so I can yell at it.
Urda was the real hero, chat. You don't understand. Urda was misunderstood. It's because of the misogynist emperor that's Warhammer 40k. You're welcome. It's dead. Let it die. Burn it. Burn it while it's still wiggling.
Mitchy Metal says, Gilliman's Heresy? You mean the current lore? I mean, yes, essentially. Monteshane, Arch, you need to give Kyle anti-discrimination training to include a PowerPoint presentation.
Neon.
I already have.
Yeah, the Emperor does
I
have
have
a
to
wife.
keep telling him not to discriminate.
And the
It
Emperor's
doesn't
name
work.
is Neoth, chat. Chat, the fact that you don't know, like, some of them are like,
Neoth.
look at them, they're fucking sad now. Lol, that's so funny. Look at them.
Neoth.
They don't even know that that Warhammer 40k died yet because they haven't read it. Lol, lol, lamau, lafamau.
Neoth. See, half of me wants to, but I'm too busy reading actually good books right now. I hate the fact that Black Libraries.
Don't worry. You're going to find out that the Emperor's a misogynist and that, anybody who voted for Trump was the real reason why why the Horus Heresy happened. Spoilers, by the way.
Kind of also slightly wrong here. Urda is not the hero. Urda's the one who scattered the Primarchs. So the only reason why the Horus Heresy happened is because somebody let a woman touch technology.
Yeah, but she gave birth to them now, by the way. She's a powerful woman. You don't understand, bigot. Look at that. I've ruined your favorite fantasy universe, chat. Suffer. Suffer as I have suffered. It's quite funny.
Dreyfus says, many companies nowadays, I believe, will look into people's social media when they look at their resume. It's smart. It is. Sandoom, off-topic question for Arch. Have you read the 40k book Iron Guard? The book about the Meridian Iron Guard going to a mining outpost to find out why it's gone dark. First 40k book I've ever read. I have not. I used to buy so many 40k books. It's hilarious. I have 3 bookshelves of 40k books, and I haven't bought a Black Library book in years now. It's just... Man, their quality is just not there anymore. We don't have a book like Gotrek and Felix, or the Space Wolves series, or anything like that. It's really sad. Right, let's get on to the last topic of the day before we go through the last few super chats. All right then, Kyle.
What?
Here, open it now. Before I do something truly.
That looks hideous. What is that?
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Is that a person?
That's sexy, Kyle. That's sexy smexy, Kyle.
Look at that face. I've got
look at that face.
Ooh.
Don't worry, she munches a lot of muffs, so she's very diverse and things.
Muff
right,
muncher.
The Ruby Rose drama. See, I saw this happening. Everyone was talking about it. I was halfway tempted to talk about it myself, but it's comic book TV show garbage, and I cannot watch those. The only reason why I like some superhero movies is because they're high budget and can do stupid and cool shit. A TV show, oh my, I hate those. I hate those a great deal. But the important and interesting thing here is that the actor who played that woman, Ruby Rose, which is one hell of a porn name, incidentally, alleged that apparently the entire, the director, all of the people responsible, the set was just awful. She broke her neck, apparently. Presumably a small fracture, because she's still, walking around and stuff today. And they were just like, get back to work, whore. Do it now. Which is interesting.
Their neck's at a 90-degree angle while they're saying that. Oh, man.
The allegations of how the treatment was going on set are pretty nasty. But here comes the thing, because as much as I would absolutely love to assume the absolute worst of these people, they've now come out to say that, and that's an actual picture of her without the mask, where so long as she doesn't grin like an insane zombie person, mildly attractive, I don't mind. A little bit too much of that whole I am a lesbian hairdo, but,
Short
such
hair
is
is
life.
icky.
That they've called this, and I love the choice of word, the Warner Kyle, stop it. The Warner Bros. Executive said that what she was doing was revisionist history. Revisionist history.
Good stuff.
An actor is saying mean things about him. This is revisionist holy shit. That term, it is such an SJW term. Like, it's not even denying what is being said. It is merely putting a moral spin on it. It is a bloody dog whistle in the most obvious sense of the word, and I hate it. I hate it so much because they're not even arguing the point here. They didn't comment on any of her allegations beyond saying, oh, it's blatantly false and revisionist history. This is what the modern day political garbage has done to corporations. It has given them the power to reject any and all allegations with the most banal bullshit words imaginable. And hey, I'm sure they're both at fault here, by the way, because apparently Ruby Rose was not a very good co-worker at all, and Warner Brothers claims that they had to fire her because she was such a massive bitch on set that everyone was scared shitless of the damn thing. Which, looking at her Batwoman persona, I can see it.
I mean, just looking at her, the first thing that comes to mind is like bitch. Like she's gonna be one of those bitchy types, like, oh no you didn't, snap her fucking thumbs. Snap it. Like, I don't know. I look at her fucking get up too. And like look at that. Like, does that look cool? Chat? Does that look cool? Look at that picture. Look at that goddamn face. Does that look cool? Are you intimidated by this Batwoman thing? Does any of this look cool to you? Does the guy behind her look cool? Wow, that's really...
She certainly looks frightening in one aspect.
It looks really dumb. It looks really... Like, even Batman, which is in and of itself is a silly sounding thing, and I don't like superheroes that much. Even I played the Batman games, Arkham games, and you know what? He kind of looks cool. You know what she doesn't look like? She doesn't look cool at all. Looks super lame.
Well, see, again, that's the reason why I loathe superhero TV shows, because they do not have the budget to make these characters look cool or interesting at all. Like, it's difficult enough to make a man in a stupid costume ever look like he's supposed to be there in that stupid costume. But if you've got a high enough budget, at least you can make them do cool shit, like in the Marvel movies. Like, Thor sells himself as Thor by the combination of being a big old buff dude and being able to shoot actual literal lightning out of his hammer. Okay? Fair enough. If you tried to do a TV series of Thor, however, he wouldn't be shooting lightning out of his hammer. He wouldn't be smacking giant aliens around the screen. He'd just be a regular dude wearing stupid clothing 99% of the time. And this is a regular woman, there you go, wearing stupid clothing 100% of the time.
Yep. It just doesn't look cool. Nothing about this looks cool. Looks lame.
I am, however, more than happy to assume that Warner Brothers are actually literally evil, because frankly, any large corporation, I'm happy to assume they're just bad people, frankly. I have fully embraced this far more nuanced worldview. I've come to realize that the whole benefit of the doubt thing should be given to people, not to corporations.
Generally, personally, this is the way I normally look at it. I look at the people, like, everyone's a quote-unquote or in a corporation. Whether you're an indie or something, technically it's like a little LLC or something, a little baby corp. But the thing is, I look at the people inside the corporation, not the corporation's soulless little name and its little logo that's often very sterile looking. Logos for corporations really look bad nowadays. But I look at the people in there. I'm like, who are these people? Do they like games? Sometimes you look at them and they're like, wow, this guy's like, I love making games. I love developing like comics and stuff. And I want to make like the best comic we can possibly make. And that's what we want to do here. And it's like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. You're a good person working for this company or working in this company, or you own this company. I expect to see good things from this person and this company. But if, you look at a corporation, you look at like Relic, and you look at the people inside there, and they're like, we've never worked on a Dawn of War game in our entire life, nor a company hero game. We don't even know what we're doing. We actually don't even like Dawn of War. If they say something like that, as an example. Like, or like in the case of Ubisoft, like, we don't even like video games. Like, wow. Really, really totally interested in what you're going to be producing. I'm totally not going to just see something you produce and turn it off If it wasn't for the fact that I knew Blue Byte made Anno and they like making games, I wouldn't care about Anno 1800. Like, just from that alone. Because I look at the people
Blue
and stuff.
Bytes actually enjoy making video games, and they deserve headpats for it.
Blue Byte does good job. They may be a little bit, on the SJWE boat, but you know what? They make good games, so who cares? Good games,
Well,
trump.
if they are on that boat, there's only a question of time until they stop making good games.
Listen, as long as the game is fun, and you can, build your little Anno city and do your little Anno stuff, isn't that what we all want? To build our little Anno cities? To trade for tools?
No, Kyle. I'm not so
tools.
easily pleased as you.
Barch Man is becoming alt-right man. Alt-Barch. It's quite good.
I hope Pokemon break into their headquarters and teach them a lesson.
Pokemon?
Yes.
Okay, well, at least it's something. At least. Which, to be fair, Pokemon could be quite deadly if you think about it.
Pokemon would be goddamn hazardous as shit. Like, Ash Ketchum should never have survived that first episode when Pikachu didn't like him. But again, details.
Just shocked him to death, like he's getting electrified to death. His eyes pop out of his sockets. Little bird.
I'm pretty sure he was also being eaten by birds at one point during all of that.
Okay, eyes pecked out of his skull before then.
Now, let me wrap up the last of the super chats before this degenerates into full-on pokephilia. You can never trust Kyle with these things. Todd says, Munmun's for Arch needs beautiful content. Also, hi Kibbs. Thank you very much, Todd. My content is beautiful, I do agree. Eric just sends Danish kronas. Danish. See, I feel I must condemn you for the heinous terrorist action you took against my country recently. Not for the terrorist action itself, but for mocking my culture by using a bow and arrow. I condemn it. I condemn it viciously. Question. If Warner Plus started to offer STL files of models no longer produced by GW or Forgewood, would it be worth subscribing to, or what would? I mean, let me put it like this. I would rate the chances of Games Workshop offering STL files, 3D printifies, incidentally, for those who don't know, to be roughly equivalent with them offering up actual, literal, physical blowjobs delivered on your door by supermodels. These two possibilities are roughly equal. They're about as far away from one another. So, in this hypothetical, strange, and magical universe, where not only Pokemon exist, but we have money growing on trees and all of these other magical, mysterious things. There's an Emma Watson waifu for literally everyone. She was just hit by lightning one day and turned into 6 billion people, which did cause some logistical problems on our food network, mind you, but minor details. In that case, yes, it would be worth subscribing to Warmer Plus. But again, this magical, mystifistical fantasy universe is unlikely to exist in the near future. Sandoom says, been rewatching Badab and Vrax. Just want to ask if there's any other lore series of similar size in the near future. Near future is a very pliant concept. In fact, I believe it's practically trademarked at this point. Soon. Yes, there will be some pretty big lore series. Soon. There you go. That's all you need to know.
Don't worry about it, Barge.
Chat asks the question, supermodels strike me as horrible people. Why would I want that on my door? Well, that's not the problem. If it's just literally offering fellatio, you don't need to worry about its personality for over long. That's fine.
Arch has low standards, chat. This cannot be helped.
Arch is a very high standard. Screw you. Mitchy Metal says, pro tip, don't use social media. It's cancer. Actually, I need to start using social media because it's a wonderful way of promoting your channel. I should use it, but I'm going to try and start using it again. And every time I start trying to use like Twitter, just for the reach of it, because it is an important tool to use for YouTube,
Oh,
etc.
go get his Twitter link. Hold on.
God, I hate social media. Like I haven't used Twitter for like 6 months again now, and I'll try. I unironically, once I get everything else up and fucking running, which is going to take a while still, like we are working on a lot of really big stuff, which is really interesting. I am actually seriously going to just have to hire someone to run my social media for me and ensure that everything is being uploaded to Odyssey and all of the other alternatives, because I can't be goddamn arsed.
Social media
I am
is
so not a
actually
social media person.
extremely, extremely important. Social media,
Yes.
while is cancer, yes, is a useful tool that you should take advantage of. Everyone should take advantage of it. I found that social media is one of the greatest ways I have been able to find a lot of the artists that we actually ended up using, because that's how they promote themselves. Because again, social media isn't like it is a mega corporation, but it's not like this, art fucking, what do you call it, mill. It's actually a place where artists have a chance to post their art. There is actually a lot of good things that come out of it. A lot of people will be like, they'll dismiss it because there is cancer on it. Yes, there is cancer on it, but it's all about who you follow, what groups you associate with. There are great people on these platforms, and there are people worth following because you will learn good things from these people. You'll work with some of these people. To think in an absolute is absolutely wrong. Are there bad people on these platforms? Yes. Can you tune these bad people out? Yes, easily. Take advantage of it and use the tool for what it's for. Remember, we were just talking about how we need to band together. Social media is one such way to do that. You can find people with like-minded ideals and stuff over there. How we found a lot of the animators and artists that we work with. If it wasn't for social media, we would be more isolated now than we were before.
But it is still awful. Martha Shame says, my last super chat was a joke. Don't ban me, please. We need more games in the RTS genre. We're not Netflix yet. We don't ban people for jokes. We ban people because I feel like it.
Yeah, pretty much. Arbitrary reasons.
Much. Don't worry, I haven't banned anyone on this channel. Not a single one. I have banned a few people on Kyle's channel, but that's more because they were being annoying.
See, any of them come over to our streams and they start giving them sass in the supers over there, then Arch is like, well, see, this isn't my channel, so maybe it's okay to ban them here.
It is okay to ban them there. Besides, I even asked for permission. You remember when I asked for permission to ban that bot, for example?
Yeah, the bot was fine.
Yeah.
You see, he doesn't actually have a case of which he actually banned somebody. Now, he has threatened to ban, what's that? The wife.
I don't ban them. I just silence them for a while. It's fine.
It's them for a while. Oh, no.
Lucky Leo25 says, hi Arch and Kibbs. Here is a question for Kibbs. Did you ever play VTM Bloodlines? If so, how did you get through the haunted hotel stage?
Is he talking to me? Or to you? I wasn't paying
You're
attention.
slow.
I was sort of just reading chat.
Kyle, you should be ashamed of yourself. You know that?
No, I won't be.
He pays just as much attention on his own streams, by the way. Like, you see the super chats roll past, and Kyle just glazes over.
Why do you think I have guests on all the time? Why do you think it's called the Bickering Bunch? I need to be carried. Not just through the game, but through the stream.
Well, I will repeat the question. Did you ever play VTM Bloodlines? If so, how did you get through the haunted hotel stage?
We beat it, but I had somebody there with me who played the game before, so they were helping me along. Bubbles!
Guard.
Bubbles guided Kibbs to victory.
Guard.
Sometimes he would be a little bit obtuse, though, and not give me advice or help me when I ask questions. And he'd be like, figure it out yourself. Because, he can be a little fucking pedantic like that. So I'd have to actually, engage with the game. It's a terrible thing when that happens. Terrible.
See, that's the problem. You ruin the experience for yourself if you play VTM with somebody who knows what's going to happen, though, because VTM is such an awesome game. Like the quest where you find an actual snuff rape tape.
Yep.
And you have to track down its producers. And I remember just sitting there, and I spoke out loud like a video game. Are you sure you want to take me in this direction? And he was just like, yep, trust me, I know where I'm going. And it did.
You know, the game's actually really good. Like, if you haven't played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, you should. But
You should. It's an amazing game.
not only should you play it, you should also... I have the GOG version, and I also run the unofficial patches, because you can't play it without it. It's important to always remind people that, because otherwise they might buy the game like, it no work. Yeah, it no work. Also, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, because it is a buggy, unfinished mess. But the thing is, much like KOTOR with the restored content patch, you can't play without the unofficial patches.
It's a fantastic video game.
Isn't that weird? Every RPG from that era, like KOTOR, fucking Vampire, like, you need the unofficial patches. Like, none of the games got proper dev time and got finished. They're all half-baked. But they're also some of the best RPGs we've ever seen. What the hell?
I need a content patch for you to make you stop saying fucking.
No.
This content patch will be implanted directly in your skull. We're family friendly here because that's YouTube these days.
You're not family friendly, Barch. I'm the only one that makes you spicy still. Spicy is good.
Nicholas Quistov donates 500 Danish kroners. Very generous, sir. I often hear that mods makes game better, but I find that better part is always subjective and used as a crutch or escape. Do you guys see mods as a solution, or should there be a responsibility on devs to make games best they can? Mods make games better, and I think that's the important word right there. Better. Now, I vehemently refuse the crowd who goes like, oh no, they'll just patch it, or well, the mods will fix it and they'll just patch the via mods. I hate that, because that means that the developer is given an excuse, and Bethesda abuses this excuse constantly in their games, where they will release shit that does not actually work, and the response of the community will be, our mod will fix it. Or Creative Assembly as well. Every time they screw up the balancing of their stuff, or just resource starve you to the point where you're just sitting there, intern. Oh, I can finally build something. Intern. Like, no. Mods will fix it not an excuse. The developers have still made an error, but mods are a fantastic tool to expand upon a game and make it better via adding new stuff. Like all of the waifu mods in Skyrim, for example. Skyrim becomes a far less soulless and boring-ass piece of bready garbage when you have an NPC following behind you, occasionally giving you witty remarks.
The Arch has the other mod on, where he plays as a big blonde bimbo, and he's like, oh no, I'm gonna get captured by the bandits and raped for hours and hours. Oh, woe is me.
Fetishization disturbs me.
See, I know the mods you play. Don't lie to me.
There's one mod, Indigo, an absolutely amazing mod. Unfortunately, he's a furry and he's male, which is both big problems for me. But he's one of the best companion characters I have ever seen, because he responds organically with the environment in an incredibly good way. Like, this is why I keep saying that companions are the future of RPGs. But bad companions can be hilarious too. I had one companion mod which was just a random character. I was testing out a bunch of them to see which one I liked. And she had some organic dialogue, one of which was trying to warn you when you were under attack. So I'm just wandering around minding my own business when I get shot in the face with an arrow. And I kill the archer, and as I stand there with just the arrows sticking out of my body, she jogs up jauntily and goes, there's an archer over there. I think we're under fire.
That's not necessarily the dialogue being the problem. I think that's the scripting of the way the game works, because it doesn't recognize.
But it wasn't a problem, because I found it fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Chat, I see you there. Arch hanging out with furry males in games IRL. Very nice video's gonna get himself put in moderation timeout.
His days of being a free independent chatter is over. The days of being banued are now.
Indigo is awesome though.
You are furry, but don't lie. You hang out with all dog.
Can't- Don't make me bring up your furriness again.
I don't have furriness.
Donald Duh says every RPG should have Bob Ross as a playable race. Unfortunately, it would come with severe insanity problems.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. Peytonus Barbarian says, a little more to ask. Is this a bit? Please tell me naming the Emperor and him having a wife who is the bestest ever is a bit. Please, it can't be real. Please tell me it isn't. Oh, no, it is. Like, they gave him a name, and the best part is, too, his wife is still on Terra. The Emperor knows where the woman is. The woman that ruined his entire imperium, that destroyed his plans, and doomed them all to a future of endless warfare. The Emperor knows where he is. He knows her address. He could have the bitch killed at any point, and should have. But he doesn't. Why? Because the writers couldn't come up with a reason.
Listen.
No,
She
Kyle.
was
No, Kyle.
his
You will
queen.
fucking listen. You will goddamn listen, okay?
He's so bad.
Games Workshop is evil. Warhammer didn't deserve this. Your Battletech deserved to die, and it did die, thank God. Lord of the Rings deserved to be molested, and it is currently being molested because it didn't deserve to be allowed to exist
right here.
unmolested.
You can now see
Warhammer
it.
did not deserve this.
Arch is a
God,
fanboy.
Neoth.
Fanboy.
The name Neoth. Just Neoth. The name. Man, it triggers me. Neoth. No. Not like an ancient, respectable name, something with gravitas, a hint to his past, having lived on Earth for millions of years. Not like Caesar or Alexander or Brutus. No. Neoth. 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 He sounds like a cucking VTuber. Oh, I hate it so much.
Hey guys, today on this VTuber episode, we're gonna like wiggle around a little bit, I guess.
Neoth.
It's
I mean,
Neolithic.
his wife has a better name than him. At least like Eridur. At least that kind of sounds old, venerable. It has an earthy taste to it. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Can you imagine the conversations around this thing? Can you imagine the Primarchs speaking to the Emperor? It's not like, my lord, Emperor. Like, my lord, Neoth.
Yep.
Neoth.
Yep.
Just imagine all of these demigods standing around the table. The lighting is low and dramatic. You know, all these huge warriors in their massive power armor discussing the fate of systems as a hololithic table lights up the air. You can see the dust particles, and all of this is broken to shattered pieces as they start addressing the Emperor.
Yep. We need to deal with the bad guys.
The Tyranids are invading.
Oh no. Yep. What are we gonna do?
Help us.
Neoth will help you.
The entirety of the empire, entirety of the Imperium worships him. Oh, we believe in Neoth.
Neoth.
Neoth protects.
Neoth is eternal.
In the name of Neoth.
Oh my god. Instead of for the Emperor, it's like for Neoth. That's what they say when they zoom by on their little speeder bike. Neoth. That's retarded. And now, chat, you can't say that the God Emperor is cool or 40k is cool. You know why? You can't even say that anymore. It's just Neoth. Neoth. Like, what are you gonna do about it? You're gonna go die for Neoth? Lame.
Your corpse, Emperor, cannot protect you here. Actually, his name's Neoth.
Neoth, and he's not a corpse. Okay, he's a transgender. Neoth. Oh.
That's very ableist of you, Chaos Champion, man.
Oh my god, you're actually right, though. They are ableists. Oh, it all makes sense. The Chaos Warriors are Trump supporters. I see what GW is doing there. Abaddon the Spoiler's gonna wear a MAGA hat.
Finally, Abaddon kicks down the Eternity Gate and stares down the Emperor. Finally, I have found you.
As he sits there wheezing because he's a corpse.
His last words will just be, please stop calling me that.
It's fucking cringe. Oh my god, look at chat. They're like, you ruined 40k? Good. I've saved you. I've saved you in that case. You're welcome. Oh, I can't now not unsee that. Like, anytime I think of 40k or see Dawn of War, I won't think cool Space Marines fighting for some retarded dead dude on a chair. I'm gonna think that they're, like, fighting for some guy that looks...
They're fighting for Neoth.
He's, like, Neoth's got a super weak chin, by the way. Like, it's just, like, his neck is connected to his chin now. You know, he's got the beak nose. Like, it looks like a bird. He's inbred. That's Neoth now. Super soy boy look to him.
See, I think it's more funny to have him be the Emperor. Like, have him be this incredibly imposing character and then just have everyone taking the piss out of him. And not with completely straight faces, too. Like, Reboot Gilliman should just lock eye with him. Stony Faye, what should we do, my lord? Neoth.
My lord, Neoth. Neoth.
His face just turns retarded for a second as the Emperor looks. What did you call me? Nothing, my lord.
Neoth. Oh.
You could make a skit out of this. A brave soldier dies on the battlement like, I gave it all for the Imperium. Yeah. What did you say?
The Emperor's super
He starts shaking his corpse violently like, stop calling me that.
I can fucking see why the God Emperor didn't want people to hear his freaking name now. His names give people power. As he's sitting in the corner, power to make fun of me.
Power to mock me, my retarded name. I didn't ask for this.
See, he said that in that book, by the way. He's like, names have power. That's why we can't, like, tell people our names. Because, yeah, they do have power. When you sound like your name is fucking Neoth.
I remember reading that and I was like, this isn't true. Like, there's nowhere in the 41st millennium is it like names give you power. Maybe over demons, but not over people. And, well, it was revealed that no. That it's true. It is true.
See, 40k can't stay consistent with its own rules because the writers do not adhere to any rules. They just write whatever garbage they want.
This is the problem. The Horus Heresy should have been a glorification of the Emperor. Instead, it's just tearing him down.
I warned you that was going to be the case.
Aaron Dembski Bowden. Like, Aaron Dembski Bowden makes some fantastic chaos stories, but by God, just shoot him. If he comes within 100 miles of a loyalist story, just fire first, ask questions later. The man hates loyalists, and he writes them as the most retarded characters. At some point, I just need to make like a Aaron Dembski Bowden special where I just whinge about all of the ridiculous things he's done to loyalists. Like that time the Custodians were tricked by a random number generator spewing out complete bullshit ass backwards reports. And the people back on Terra were like, sounds like a dead woman in a spaceship. It's awfully weird. It's nothing. Yes, no. Kyle, stop. Cease immediately.
Yes.
I need to get done with this.
Yes. Oh, we ruined 40k now. It's dead. It's over.
Mark DeShame says, Black Library. Don't you mean black libraries matter? No, black libraries do not matter.
I don't.
Dark Innovator, the Primarchs were grown, not born. Silly kids. Well, actually.
Cool.
Mark Ashamed, Bat Ransman. Bat Transman. Ah, Bat Transman. He has 2 sets of genitalia he can capture you with.
I don't want to look at that picture anymore. No!
Mark Shane also says, revisionist history. Don't you mean her story or their story? Far more inclusive. The chat keeps saying Neos.
Niet.
Petty Planter Missionary. Skaven lore series anymore? Famous Skaven battles? Maybe, if you ask nicely.
Beg, grovel.
I feel like there's going to be more Neoth stories. Black 1917, let's not forget the Batwoman whines about Batman having more fear and respect, which he earned and she did not, than her, after stealing she is from him and putting in no actual work for it. I hate the entire Bat character line, like Nightwing and Batwoman and Batboy and all of this. I hate them.
I don't mind
just stop making
like,
Bat people.
I'm not even super into superheroes, right? Like I've said several times, but like Batman as Batman is fine, whatever, right? Like he's just Batman. He calls himself that because
My parents are dead.
He'll get over it eventually, I swear. But the thing is, right? Like, that's fine. The Joker's the Joker. But then when they create like weird spin-off-y characters, like the Bat Dildo, you know, the fucking like it's like you're going a little too far now. Like you're just kind of kicking it.
It made sense in the early like literally the 1900s when they came up with this. The person who made this had probably never made like superhero characters. We were like, Batman, he's a superhero detective. Yeah, that's really cool. And he's got to have a car. It's the Batmobile. And in the 90s, they were like, oh my god, and fucking 90s, 20s, 30s, they were like, oh my god, a Batmobile, that's awesome. We barely even know what cars are. And he's got a bat plane, and he's got a bat boat, and people were starting to be like, this is getting a little out of hand. But they just continued.
A bat satellite.
Yeah, bat satellites, bat spaceship, bat car, bat belts, bat utility belt. It's where I keep my credit card.
Bat condoms. You never know when they come in handy.
Never leave the bat cave without the bat credit card.
Oh god. Bat spandex.
Sandoom says, one last super chat from me. Thank you for those large lore series and the hours of entertainment. Will we get a lore video on the time when Skaven almost destroyed the Empire with the Black Plague? See, that would be funny. And that's the story from my favorite codex, too. The second edition, I think, Skaven Codex. I love that book. I read it until the covers fell off. Oh, that's such a good book. Maybe sometime in the future.
Maybe.
MacWild11, Arch, please auto backup to BitChute like Sticks and others. Actually, I have the auto backup to BitChute, but he doesn't work.
BitChute's
and I'm
trash.
too lazy and boomery to do anything about it. So
Here, listen,
I'll probably just give Disco, like, she offered to do this for 50 Norwegian kroners. And I was like,
I don't think she did. But the thing is...
She did.
The thing is, right? Honestly, I plugged in my channel to Odyssey, and it just backs up my content there.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Odyssey.
And by do that, I mean I'll get somebody to do that for me.
Like, BitChute is just a dead end. Like, everybody that... Like, every content creator I've talked to, like, every time you bring up BitChute, like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, it's like, nobody likes BitChute. It's like, but back up your BitChute. It's like, BitChute doesn't do anything for us. BitChute's a dead end. Like, the problem is like, DLive, too. Like, all these other platforms are either abandoned or dead. Or they're not going anywhere. Even Odyssey. The only reason why I use Odyssey is just to back up my content. Just in case Google's like, right-click Banu.
It's an alternative.
And it's not
I'll
a
need
good
to set it
alternative.
up for... Yeah, it's just...
Trash.
Don Pete XX says, Arch, given the current state of 40k, who would want or think would get a redemption arc? Again, Ash, Fulgrim. Fulgrim needs a redemption arc. Like, I could write a whole fanfiction on Fulgrim redemption arc. And I would. Actually, at least that would be safe as parody, I guess. Maybe. McWild donates 20 Czechoslovakian children, probably. Here you go, just for Neoth.
Neoth. The Neoth found.
Kyle, we need an animator who can make that shit. Because occasionally we get up some ideas like this which deserve
You have
some
one.
animation.
What's that one guy? Dan.
Oh no, he could not do this. Like, he can do some animation, but I think he would kill himself if we tried to make him make this.
The more he practices, the better. And honestly, the thing is, if he just doesn't color it and he just goes with quick line sketches, like it's just simple black and white, like it's not that bad. As somebody who's dabbled in animation, I'm sure a veteran artist can figure it out.
The thing is, I'm pretty sure he just doesn't want to.
I mean, I wouldn't want to. Animating is crazy. I'm surprised. Like, our lead animator is fantastic at what he does, but no, I would not want to do what he does. Crazy.
Yeah. I've had him make some icons for me, but he is. We need an actual like animator. We need to get big enough to get one of those fan animators on YouTube because a lot of those people are actually really good at what they do, but they only seem to follow the big people. Sad.
We need to suck some serious big dick in order to get that. You know? We need to blow up. I'm telling you, Star Wars lore. Sorry, Warhammer. Yeah. Guess we're gonna do gay wars instead.
NJ Gamer says, Art, I was thinking his name Jesus, but his name is so bad. It just shouldn't be allowed to exist. It just actually shouldn't. Luke Scorpion says, Parabellum, Last Argument of Kings has the most potential for Warhammer replacement. Argument of Kings. Honestly, I don't think there is not going to be a alternative to Warhammer for a very long time. What we're seeing happening with Games Workshop is the same thing that we saw happening with Disney, etc., where everything just coalesced into one company because there was competition. Like Disney used to have competition. I don't even remember their names anymore, but you know the ones that made like the Black Cauldron, for example, a lovely animated little movie. Or the fuck, I can't even remember their names now. But there was another animation company, but they just disappeared because the world isn't big enough for two giant corporations, I guess. Sad. Tragedy. Jack the Outcast says, a Razor Fist was right. Reject modernity. Embrace the pulps. Read The Shadow and Doc Savage instead of Batman and Superman. I do love My Little Razor Fist, but I hate pulp. I'm sorry. I am not a fan of pulp. I read it today and I just cringe. I actually just cringe.
I'm not going to comment on pulp because I actually haven't consumed. I don't think I've consumed any pulp material, so I don't actually have an opinion. But I do know Razor Fist is like pushing pulp hard. Like pulp, return to pulp, and it's like, you know what? I mean, well, I don't know anything about it. It's preferable to whatever the fuck DC and Marvel are doing.
Now, really old school pulp though, like more the novel stuff. Now that I can get behind, like the
pulp noir. Is like that what it is?
Like the really old school novels. Like Robert A. Heinlein has some fantastic stuff, and Asimov, fucking Isaac Asimov. The fact that Isaac Asimov is not required reading for everyone on the planet is one of our greatest failings as a species, frankly. Fucking Asimov. God, we need more Asimov.
You're sounding too happy. Let's change that. Neoth. Think Neoth and Urda.
You can't do anything to me, Kyle, because right now I'm thinking of iRobot.
Think about it. Will Smith.
I'm thinking of Caves of Steel. Like I'm thinking of Foundation. Like you can't make me sad right now. It's just not possible.
With Will Smith. It's just like, Kim's got me. Falls over dead.
There's no such movie.
You've been defeated. See, my first experience with Isaac Asimov's stuff wasn't even his stuff. It was the movie called iRobot. I was like, Will Smith shoot people.
There's no movie called iRobot that is based on Isaac Asimov's work. That's where you're incorrect.
See, as a movie unrelated to Isaac's work, it's just a dumb little action movie.
It's just Will Smith being Will Smith.
Shooting beep boops. And one beep boop actually not being a bad beep boop. Hashtag not all beep boops. Okay? Hashtag not all beep boops. Some beep boops different than others.
Nicholas Quistov says, Conrad Kerr's best written Primarch to my knowledge. Which one do you believe is the best written? He was. I hated what they did to him in his Primarch book, because they made him want to be a killer. Like, I thought that was the best part of his character, the fact that this was something he struggled against, but then Black Library said, no, he must be evil. Kill yourself. Immediately. Conrad Curtis is the best character, though. Todd, can we get a Neoth or Neoth Discord icon? I don't know what that icon would look like. No.
Imagine the Emperor, but with Down syndrome.
Kyle, ableist. Go on.
And
finally, almost. Alec Baldwin says, I hate the Second Amendment and hate Trump supporter as cult members and want to take the gun. Lol, killed Helene on set after I retardedly fired a gun with live ammo while spouting off on how bad Trump is. Alec Baldwin.
You know, that is funny. We didn't talk about that because it's not really gaming related, but now that's super chatted. It's a meme.
And it's too speculative right now. It's retarded. It's absolutely retarded. And I don't buy for a second that this was entirely accidental. Because apparently he wounded one person and killed another with blanks. Like, unless these two people were actually sucking off the gun at the point at which the trigger was pulled.
Hold on.
That shit ain't happening.
Actually, blanks can kill people if the charge is not right. I learned that because I was actually talking to my dad about that, and he was telling me that about stuff that actually happened in the past where blanks actually have killed people, because the wadding hits them in the temple, and it can cause death if the charge.
Yes, I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying that it needs to be at beyond point blank. And again, he didn't hit one person; he injured one and killed another with a blank. Like, that is a feat. That is an achievement. That is a Guinness World Record book thing right there. You goddamn Americans, you shame us. You shame the human species, you
Also,
do.
I think it might have been, they might have been using actual live munitions on set. It could still be a prop gun, but some movies actually do use live bullets and live guns to give it that authentic feel. It's entirely possible that that was actually a real gun, because they wanted to shoot a scene, but they might have mixed it up with the prop gun, which is supposed to fire blanks.
To be fair, though, the person who's going to get thrown under the bus for this is the armory master, but Alec Baldwin deserves just as much blame as that guy does. Like, it's obviously his fault for having a weapon unsecured on the set, but it's just as stupid for this actor to be there and fucking around with a weapon. And it's like, ha ha ha, pew pew pew. No.
Oh, I killed him. Oh no! As he goes, walks over and waves like, I like killing.
Don't wave guns at people. Guns don't kill people, but Alec Baldwin surely does.
Alec Baldwin is a murderer and should be executed.
And finally, Blade says, Don Bluth is who you're thinking of. Also, Neoth has the face of Frank Burns from the MASH TV show. Peak chin, ferret face and all. Don Bluth was the creator, but I'm pretty sure there was like a company that he was running. Like, I feel... I don't know if there was that, because there was like another competitor to Disney at one point who made some pretty cool stuff. But God knows. He's gone. It's gone. Disney reigns supreme, and it owns literally everything. Because again, America is the problem here. Now, if America was a decent country and introduced actual, regulations on the size of the corporations with antitrust laws that already existed, this wouldn't be a problem. But no, Kyle just had to go and fuck it all up, didn't he?
Look at Barch. He's mad and angry. Copen C, the bigot. Disney controls everything. Bow to the mouse.
Anastasia Paluzuk says, Hey Arch, I am the Queensland Premier, and stating this is the last chance for people to get vaccinated. The gulags being built would be for the unvaccinated. Aussie Cossack. Yes, the Aussie Prime Minister woman. Bit of a monster. But hey, every story needs a villain.
Yeah.
Right. This has been going on for far too long. God damn it. I still remember the happy days when I was like, yes, these will be like an hour-long tops. And then Kyle existed.
Oh, wait. Nope. Hold on. We got something.
Oh, yeah.
Here we do.
Yeah.
This is from Seth. He thinks that this will be the... There's Neoth. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Look at that. Look at it. Like it.
No, it needs to be far more petulant and like it's close, but it needs to be like that looks angry. Angry is wrong. It needs to be petulant hatred. Like it's been called Neoth one too many times and it can't do anything about it. Like impotent rage is the picture.
Impotent rage. Cope and seethe, kitty. Cope and seethe.
Literally, cope and seethe needs to be the expression. Neoth. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching. I'm starting to question why after the Neoth thing. But nevertheless, you survived. I'm impressed. And a little bit discouraged by all of this. Hopefully, we'll see you all again soon. Tomorrow, with the last episode of the Rat RP before Kyle kills it for many months.
You won't get to have fun things anymore, chap. Until you pay me to have fun things.
Until then, have a good day.